time. Today we are going to look at how parents and guardians can monitor and regulate children's activities on the computer. Now, don't get me wrong. It is very good for children to know how to use computers at a very early stage of their lives. It's a very good thing. Now, the advantages of using a computer far outweighs disadvantages. No child should be allowed to sit on the computer for a very long time, no matter how you love that child. That child should not be allowed to sit on the computer for a very long time. There's so much evil. There's so much evil on the internet. Every time a child is on the internet, let's assume your computer has access to internet, that child may be exposed to pornography. That child may be exposed to terrorism. That child could be exposed to cultism right there on that computer. Personally, I was almost initiated into a cult in 2003, right there on my computer. Time won't permit us to go into all that detail, but I'm just going to help you to know how to regulate your child's use of the computer. Windows Vista, Windows 7, Windows 8, and Windows 10 too. It has a parental control feature where you can actually determine how many hours a child should be using a computer. You can actually regulate which game a child should be playing. You can actually regulate many things. Now, I will expose you to two methods. The first method is the one that doesn't need internet. You can just configure on either your Windows 7 or Windows 8 and just regulate and monitor how your child is doing on the computer. You can state that your child should use a computer between 5 and 6 p.m. After school, take siesta, the computer is only available to you between 5 and 6 p.m. That child will not be able to sit on that computer beyond 6 p.m. The computer will log off by itself without you having to instruct or having to do anything. So I am going to show you how you can activate that kind of feature on your computer. Allow the child to use a computer. Don't stop the child, but regulate use, regulate access. The second method is a method that needs internet and needs some other devices, which I will just introduce you to the basic of that feature. It's a feature that you can, an application that you can stay even in your office. You can stay in, even if you traveled abroad, you can stay and log into your computer that has access to internet, and you can see what your children are doing on your computer. It will help you because I listened to a BBC documentary recently where it was stated that majority of children majority of suicide bombers are recruited on social media, on the internet. People will just come with brainwashing, and just brainwash people, and they'll just recruit you to go and kill yourself. Is life. If it happened to me in 2003, that's 13 years ago, you can imagine between that time and now the advances in evil and the advances in technology. So that you don't know it does not mean that it doesn't exist. First of all, I will take you to my computer right now and I will show you how to activate parental control on your computer. So let's go to my computer. Now, the first thing you need to do is to click on Start menu, and you type on the search, the search bar, you type parental control. Parental control. Now, can you see what's the first thing here is about parental control? But that's a third-party solution. But the second one comes with Windows 7. So you click on parental control. This one needs access to the internet, so we do that. Now, the very first thing you need to do for you to create this parental control is for you to create a user. Create a new user account of which you are going to enable parental control. Create a new user which you are going to enable parental control. Now, you can call the account children. So you click on where you have create a new user account. Now I just type the children. Children. That's the account that children can use. That's the account that children can use. If I check this now, I'm saying that okay, when the child logs in, he can create a password for that account, so that any other person will have access to it. But I will not enable that feature, so that any other child, assuming I have 4 children or 5 or 6 as the case may be, they can all have access to the computer. I can schedule. The first one should use the computer between 2 and 3. The next one should use the computer between 3 and 4, and I can schedule like that, and they can have access to the computer at different times. So I'll create the account. Now you can see children account has been created. So if I click on this account now, it will take me to where I can now set up the parental control. Now, can you see 2 radio buttons? The first one says parental control on, that's enforce current settings. Off, no parental control on account. So I'm going to check on. Now when I check on, you see that these features are now enabled. Before now they were grayed out, it was not enabled. So I click on and it's enabled. You can see time limits on Windows 7. On Windows 7, you can regulate a child's use on the computer in 3 different ways. You can regulate the time that the child uses the computer. You can regulate the games that the child gets to play. You can regulate the programs the child gets to use. But you can see that you cannot monitor which website the child visited. You cannot know who the child was chatting with this. So it still helps. You can start with this, but of course you can see that it has some limitations. I click on off. Time limit is at the moment is off, so I click on it to turn it on. Okay, can you see that at present there is no limitation from 12 midnight to 24 hours? There is no limitation on this. You can see when it is white, it means allowed. When it's blue, it means blocked. So now I am going to click and drag and fill up the entire space. That means the entire account is blocked first. Then now I want to give my child access to the computer between 4 and 6 p.m. Between 4 and 6 p.m. every day. Where you have 4 and 5, and I click on where you have 5 and 6. Now, that child will only be able to use his computer between 4 and 6 p.m. This child can never use his computer, can never wake up in the middle of the night and feel like using computer, and that computer is available for the child to use. That child cannot stay on this computer beyond 6 p.m. Once it's 6, the computer will log off automatically. Once it's 6, the computer will log off automatically, and the child will not have access to that system again. So I click on OK. You can see that time limit is turned on. Is on. Now I move on to game ratings. I click on off. Now can you see? Can children play games? Yes. If I click no, that child will not be able to play any game on this computer. Okay. So when my child comes to use the computer, he or she will just see children and click on children, and that account is going to load up and for the child to use. Okay. This account has time restrictions that prevents you from logging on at this time. Please try again later. So you can see that this child can only use his computer between 5 and 6 p.m. At 6 p.m. this time restriction will be lifted, and the child will be able to use the computer. Once it's 6, child is logged out. So we'll take a break. When we're back, I'm going to show you how the next method that you can use, and wherever you are around the world, in the office, wherever you are, that method you can configure it, and you can be able to stay in your office and monitor your children. I'll only show you the basics. That method is going to need some other tools. Anyway, I'll take you through when we are back. So just stay with us, and we'll be back soon. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we have been on parents, how parents can regulate and monitor a child's activity on the computer. We look at the first method where you can configure parental control on Windows 7. The tool is also available on Windows Vista and Windows 8 and 8.1. I believe it should be in Windows 10. I have not gotten to use Windows 10 yet, but I'm sure it should be there. So if you missed it, the video is there online. You can always go back and look at it. It's a very important thing that you need to know, and it's a very important thing that every parent must be able to do. The next method I'm going to show to you now is a method that is a bit more advanced, but will give you more information. Parental control that is configured on Windows 7 can only enable you to limit children's use of a program, children's use, regulate the time restrictions, some time restrictions on the child, and also set up some games that the child can play. But the next method I'm going to show you goes beyond that. It will let you know the site that the child is visiting. It will let you know who the child is chatting with. It will let you know how long the child has been using the computer and which programs the child has been using. It will let you know many things. You can still use it at a basic level. It will give you more information, and it will let you know more than what Windows 7 is letting you know. But the thing is that it is not free, but it's also very affordable. When you look at what it helps you to do, when you look at what it can help you to regulate, when you look at what it can help you to check around your children, that cost cannot be compared to the benefit that it's going to bring to you. It's a third-party utility, and it's called Verity Parental Control Software. Verity Parental Control Software. There are many of such, but I just fell in love with Verity, and I felt like bringing it to come and show to you. If there are other ones, and if you get interested in this, I can still take you through on other methods that you can utilize. So now, this is the software that I've installed. I already ran it on my computer, so I'll just open it. Now, can you see that it's Luino of Verity Parental Control Software version 1.15. Now, the first thing that it's going to ask you to do is for you to enter your password, your username and your password to access the system. Now, if I type let me just key in my username and my password to access the system. I want to show you what it does. Okay, can you see that it's starting the program now? Verity Parental Control Software started. Service Engine started. Okay, I just click on Control Panel. Web Control Panel opened. Now, can you see this is now on a web browser? This one is very cool. It's on a web browser, and you can see everything. I'm just going to type that same username and that same password I had typed, and I will just key in my password. Now, I log in. Can you see now? Look at the left menu, you will see view activities, view screenshots, usage reports, parental control. That's where you can now configure administrative options. If I click on view activities, you can see the time that the child used the computer. You can see the duration the child used computer. You can see how many keystrokes, that is how many times the child clicked that particular site, and you can see how many mouse clicks. Keystrokes means how many times the child had, keying in some inputs on that particular, on the keyboard on that particular site. You can see the mouse clicks. Then when you have the application, you will see the executable that was loaded to activate that particular program. So now you can even see the screenshots, so you can actually visualize what the child is doing on the computer. You can see it. Now take for example, now I'm going to go to, now you can see that I had accessed Facebook on this computer by 9:32 a.m. By 9:32 a.m. and I was on that page for 10 minutes. Now I'm going to click on this screenshot so that I can see who and what I was doing there. Now can you see that I now, as a parent, you can see where your child was at that particular point in time. I'm going to close this. Now let's just go back to that same menu. Okay, so it records every single thing that your child was doing on that computer at that time. It is a very, very good tool. It is a very good tool. So over here now I can just decide to view just the screenshots. You can see all the screenshots. Just by looking at the screenshots, you know, oh, this child must have been exposed to pornography here, or this child must have been chatting with someone here, or this child must have been doing this, must have been doing that, must have been doing this, with just screenshots. So you can actually double click on, like here now, the child was on YouTube, so I can click on that and look at what the child was, going through on YouTube. You can know, you can just know by going there, the pages the child has been visiting. So it's a very good tool. You can configure this tool and it will be able to show you. You can view these things remotely. If I click on usage report, based on application, you can know how many hours that application have been used. Now Firefox has been used for 16 minutes 29 seconds. Now I can actually block this program. I can click on block, or I can click on allow. The check arrow means allow, and this other red sign means block. So I can actually stop it. If I click on screenshots from Firefox, you bring out all the screenshots. You bring out all the screenshots from Firefox, and I can know what my child was browsing on Firefox. If I go to the next browser, Maxton, I use Maxton on Firefox a lot. So if I click on Maxton, it will load the pages I have gone to on Maxton, and it's a good tool that will enable you to track what your child is doing. So you're going to end there for tonight. Time won't permit us to go too far. I thank you for being with us, and I look forward to seeing you again next week, the same time, the same station. I will always be here, and by the grace of God, I will try as much as possible to let you know new things that you can do on the computer, how you can maximize, optimize, and efficiently use your computer. If you miss any of the videos, go online, ewyc.dynetng.org. Just look at the videos and just if you can download it, better. That's some software that you can use and you can download it. So you can follow us on Twitter or on Facebook. All of these videos are also on Twitter and on Facebook. So in any of those channels, you can keep in touch. So I thank you for being with us, and I look forward to seeing you again the same time, the same station. Thank you.